What did Chuck Schumer say? What can Chuck Schumer, who's now under fire from so many people who are like, wait, what? What did he possibly say on the Senate floor when they were giving this away?
We asked President Trump to step in and meet with us to deliver lower health care for Americans, and instead, Donald Trump has taken the American people hostage, from cutting off food, aid to hungry families and vets and seniors and kids, to manufacturing flight cancellations, to cutting off home heating aid, while he builds a billion-dollar ballroom with gold-plated toilets. Therefore, I must vote no. This healthcare crisis is so severe, so urgent, so devastating for families back home that I cannot in good faith support this CR that fails to address the healthcare crisis.
You see Chuck Schumer perform there? You see him change his tone of voice when he went to the no line? Therefore, I'm voting no.
Therefore, I must vote no.
I'm going to pull up my sleeves and I'm going to pound the desk like a fake-ass politician would do. Chuck Schumer is upset that he and his party in the Senate, who he leads, that they did what he didn't want to do, and he voted no on this because this healthcare crisis is way too big for us to continue to allow happen the way it's going to go down. Healthcare prices are going to skyrocket. People are going to die. We've made this case. Therefore, I'm pissed. Do you think he went and talked to those 8 senators that went the other way and made sure this went the MAGA way? You think he pounded a couple desks and told them how upset he is and how he can't believe that they sold out the American people to these to this idea of them losing healthcare access? Do you think he did that? Jake Sherman pointed out what he actually was doing here in case he didn't see it coming yet. This was always the way it was going to end. Schumer keeping his hands clean while the rank and file votes yes. And if you think they just defied Chuck Schumer all of a sudden, these 8 guys and women defied Chuck Schumer, and now he doesn't know how he got these folks turned on him like this, that look is even worse. So now you're telling me, after the Democratic Party made this full-on reality-based argument for the reasons why they wanted to negotiate for things like these ACA extensions, why suddenly these folks turned on him? He looks really bad and weak. He doesn't look like a very effectual leader, does he? That's the game that they're playing, and they expect enough people to buy it. There's the reasons why they keep getting their asses kicked. Hey, here's one of those senators. Senator Sheehan. See if you find an ounce of strength in this statement.
What do you say to your colleagues who say this isn't a fight, this is a capitulation? You're agreeing to a vote on a bill that it almost certainly will not become law, and you're allowing that to happen.
Well, first of all, as long as the government shut down, the clear statement from Senator Thune and the Republican majority, and they control the Senate, the House, the White House, was we will not talk about health care with you. So there was no vote that we were going to get on the Affordable Care Act, premium tax credits. We have a guaranteed vote by a guaranteed date on a bill that we will write. Not that the Republicans will write, although I do think it's important for us to engage with them because we need a bipartisan bill that we know is going to get enacted to provide the relief that Americans need. And I think there's a commitment on the part of many of our colleagues to do that.
But there's no guarantee this will become law.
There was never a guarantee that it would become law.
Hey, yo, we folded because the Republicans said we hate this country, and all the people that are understanding how much we hate this country, we don't care. So apparently Senator Sheehan said, yeah, okay, makes sense. We'll get on board with that too. You're going to give us an opportunity to write something else? Okay, you're going to promise that we get to present it for you? And then after you promise that we present our plan in front of you, then afterwards, you're going to give us a couple more middle fingers, right? Because we've already had these discussions. They already said, hell no to people having healthcare. They've been saying it for decades, bro. What makes you think some kind of bipartisan plan between them, this upcoming plan from Democrats, and a bipartisan group of Republicans who've all said, that's not what we want, bro? What makes you think they're going to come together on this now when they've got all the levers of control right back in their hands. Hey, Shaheen was talking about bipartisanship in this bill.
I do think it's important for us to engage with them because we need a bipartisan bill that we know is going to get enacted to provide the relief that Americans need. And I think there's a commitment on the part of many of our colleagues to do that.
This is what Donald Trump thinks of bipartisanship.
Is there any room for bipartisanship? Because it seems like that's the main purpose of the filibuster, is to create some sort of compromise. So
well, it didn't work, obviously.
So
You're right. That was the purpose of the filibuster, bipartisanship, but that didn't work.
So are you saying the next 3 years in Washington there shouldn't be?
Well, no. If the filibuster is terminated, we will have the most productive 3 years in the history of our country. If the filibuster is not terminated, then we will be in a slog with the Democrats, and very little for either party will be done. So it's a good thing.
He says bipartisanship doesn't work. Do you think the MAGA Republican Party is going to defy him and suddenly take part in all kind of this bipartisan kumbaya bill making? Do you really think that? She doesn't think that. If she thinks that, she hasn't been paying any attention. If she thinks that she's underqualified for this position, she doesn't know what she's doing. If she thinks the guy who just said bipartisanship doesn't work, and by the way, after you went his way and didn't even need to break the filibuster like he kept vowing that they need to do, after you do that, he then said, yo, let's still take down that filibuster because we can't have more of these slogs with Democrats for the rest of the time that I'm in power. Hey, let's go to Dick Durbin. Hey, here's Dick Durbin's excuse.
Yeah, but I mean, some people would think that this is a capitulation if you only agreed to a standalone vote.
People need to understand how the Senate works. We have brought this issue as a major national issue from zero to a major factor, I think, in the last election.
He acknowledged that they've won this issue with that last election. The only victory Dick Durbin cares about is bringing this issue from a 0 to how big it is now, 0 to 100 on how big people understand what the issue is. And then once they understand how big the issue is, then you go, yeah, we're not fighting for that. Doesn't that make you a loser? Doesn't that make you somebody that we shouldn't support? Doesn't that make you somebody that actually agrees with the people that we dislike? It's weird. You've worked that hard to get that leverage because that's the truth and you abandon it. Igor Bobak says, I just asked Senator King what changed in the Democratic caucus on the ACA now since Thune had offered them a vote weeks earlier. He said, I think the length of the shutdown is what changed. The question was, as the shutdown progresses, is a solution on the ACA becoming any more likely? It appears not. Senator Angus King said it's just been going on so long and the Republicans keep saying they want to screw over Americans. So our solution to Republicans saying they want to screw over Americans and Americans that were looking to get screwed over said no and voted against them, the solution after that is let's go their way. I do remember a bunch of Democrats after winning sweeping elections across the country now saying, oh, I think we have to go to the right, because everyone in the country told us going to the right is what they don't want. Lucky for us, Ro Khanna, representative, Democratic representative in the House, he sees it too, and he's saying what we're all thinking. Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the fight to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? Good thought there, Ro. It's true. He's not going to fight for anything. And matter of fact, he's going to make it look like he's fighting for something while he fights for absolutely nothing. It's about that time. Before, it was always so fearful and wrong to go against party leadership, because if you go against party leadership, it's going to look like there's infighting. If there's infighting, then suddenly Republicans can win more elections. Republicans are winning elections because they're seeing that there's no fight whatsoever, in, out, or anywhere in between from this Democratic Party. And in fact, where it's coming from are what even other Democrats are calling fringe people, radicals of the party. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Zohran Mamdani, who kicked everyone's ass multiple times in that mayoral race. They keep rejecting the folks that are representing the American people. That means the vast majority of this establishment leadership of this party doesn't represent the American people. They just like to look like they represent the American people, so that once those American people say, oh, looks like you represent us, they go, yeah, not really. And for some reason, they think it sends the message of, yo, we made the case. Now let's go negotiate with people who said, we're not going to negotiate with you. because the American people will be happy to see that we're the moral ones. And then they'll keep voting for us. It's not that people then switch over and buy the bullshit that Donald Trump says. It's that they stop giving a damn enough to support the people who keep waving white flags in the middle of a fight that they're winning.